Everybody, I'm back. Just wasn't gone that long, but I'm Jody Lesnikowski, for those of you who don't know, from Remax Home Center in Peters Township, and people were asking me what happened to you, and I just disappeared for a little bit because I was in my pajamas good days, kind of contemplating getting out of bed, and I don't know, I'm human just like the rest of you. This is not easy staying at home doing nothing for me, so I fell into a little bit of a funk because the weather got bad and I stopped walking, so back up and moving again and feeling a little bit better. But while I was in my pajamas all day, I did some market research, so now I have an April market report for you. So at least as how it pertains to us. And so let's talk about this. Let's get into it. So when is this economy going to recover? Oh, isn't that the million-dollar question that everybody would like to know? There are predictions, and we can go over those quickly, but they think it's going to recover rather fast. Because right now, according to the experts, they believe that we're on pause. And I think that this is true so much, especially for the real estate market, because this is pretty much geared, obviously, to real estate, since that's why you're here. We're on pause. We're in a roller coaster moment. So we're going to take a ride down for a while, and then we're going to go right back up. So we're anticipating that the housing market is going to follow suit. Right now we're not able to show houses, but we are able to sell houses. Oddly enough, if you want to buy one sight unseen, now is the time to do that, because people who were losing out to bidding wars, etc., before, are now able to secure one by buying it sight unseen, because a lot of people are not willing to enter into that type of agreement. I had a client on the sell side sell their home just 2 days ago this way. Somebody did not even look at it and said, we'll take it. So it's a weird market out there right now for a little bit. But are we currently in a recession? Well, technically we have to have 2 quarters of negative growth, I think is what the definition is. Don't quote me on that. But so not really, but I can't see how we don't actually meet that technical definition here shortly, but we'll be back on the rise on the other side of that. But where the panic is lying right now, and I'm hearing this so much from my first-time home buyers, just holding on, waiting for that market to, this recession to really take hold, so that market crashes a little bit and we can get a house at a better price. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news for those of you in that situation, but it's not looking like that's going to happen, because historically speaking, recessions do not mean that there is a housing crisis. So let's get into the brass tacks about that. So with the exception of 2 recessions, no other recessions have impacted. So is this going to be like 2008? So that's what I think a lot of people are worried about. And that's what the economists are saying too. That we are scarred from that great recession, and that they're expecting this housing market to crash. The new home buyers are hoping that it's going to crash so that they can afford a new house. And unfortunately, this time around, the indicators on the market are not there for a crash in the housing market. In fact, they are saying that the housing market is going to be what saves us from going into a deep recession. So 2008 crash. It went down 51% on the S&P 500, but the home depreciation during those same 3 years is how you see it breaking out here. 4.6 negatively, 10% negatively, 4.1 negatively. So that's under that major housing crash. Okay, so whereas 9/11, let's talk about that. It has the same components to it: fear, anxiety, and staying inside, because we were all right now. The same thing is kind of going on. So I think that we can make some parallels there, and the experts agree that during the 9/11 crash, we had only a market correction again, and the home prices did appreciate in those same 3 years. So then the next thing that we see in our housing market is months of inventory. The inventory for sale has been on the decline for so many years now that there are more buyers in the market that want to purchase a home than there are homes available to purchase. So our inventory keeps going down and down and down. And so what these numbers mean, 8.2 is the number of months it would take to sell off all the existing inventory if no other homes came to market. That was in 2007 with the bubble. Today, we are at 3.1 nationwide, and that's significantly lower in pockets, in micro markets like here in Peters Township. So there's not enough inventory, and it's really a hot market out there. It's still a very strong seller's market. So not until we get these, up into the 8s and the 10s regions that we're seeing it being a buyer's market. So anytime we're below 6, we really consider that a seller's market. The other difference we have is, and I've talked to several of you about this before, we talked briefly about this earlier in a video, is how much people have in home equity lines of credit right now and home equity cash out. They have 824 billion last time. There's only 232 billion. So Americans are not cashed out of their homes. 53.8% of Americans still have equity, which means they have money they can borrow to get themselves through the next couple of months while this economy is on pause. So this is why they're predicting that there's not going to be this huge crash that doesn't recover. We will see a recovery, and we will see it more rapidly than is typical of 5 to 10 years. We're going to see it happen much more quickly over the course of the next year or two. So what about all these job losses? Nobody's even doubting that we aren't in a historic place there. The job losses are just staggering. When it comes back, the restaurant industry is the concern, because 59.5% of these losses of unemployment come from food services and drinking places, and so basically bars and restaurants, who have limited down their staff to just handle those takeout orders, and they're trying to make ends meet any way they can. And so that 59% of the population of unemployment should go back to work right away, because hopefully we're all going to go back to normal and go back to doing our thing when it comes to restaurants, etc., etc. So let's hope. The other one we talk about here is construction workers. New housing starts have stopped. They were finally starting to go up, and we had to have a pause. I don't see, with our inventory being as low as it is, that we are going to be in a place where new construction starts don't go back up the minute that they're allowed to start building again. So I think that's a temporary thing. Healthcare office workers, there's been some layoffs there. I know a friend of mine's a nurse. She does an outpatient surgery center, and she and the entire staff has been, temporarily furloughed because of the fact we're not allowed to do elective surgeries and things like that now. So all of those healthcare workers are currently unemployed, and the dentist office and things like that we will get back to. We're not going to stop needing those services. So as you can see, most of the people who are currently unemployed are going to be in industries that are going to bounce back up. So that's the other reason why the economists are believing we're going to go and do this, this quick V shape. Get it back out, get it back in. So this is their unemployment rate projections, that it's going to recover slowly, but not as slow as it should be. So we're going to drop rather rapidly, with a 50% drop just in, by next year. So I think that it might be sooner. I'm hopeful in some areas like ours, because of the type of demographic we have in Pittsburgh. We were bioengineering and things like that, so we have a lot of people who haven't been hit as hard as, say, some of the rest of the country. Because remember, these metrics are all for the entire United States, not just Pittsburgh. So I think that Pittsburgh's going to be a little bit better poised to recover. Here for Pittsburgh, home prices have been appreciating 8.1% year over year. The median, let me back up. The median list price has gone up to $199.9 versus 3 years ago at like $161, I think it was. It went up like 8% year over year. And you can see we are in the Northeast. It's rising 8.2, in Pittsburgh at 8.1, so it's right in line with that. The forecasted year over year percentage change in price, and for Pennsylvania, is still pretty strong at 5.3%. is, and this of course is as of April 1st, these numbers were done. As we get more changes in the market, of course, we will update these numbers, but currently we are still predicting a price appreciation of 5.3% this year. So interest rates are another area of the market that we are watching closely to help determine whether or not that we are going to recover. And I think that's something that we have to look at. And from the indices that we are seeing, that interest rates are not going to change much. The mortgage rate projections over the next 4 quarters, as you can see here, are projected to stay the same. And from Freddie Mac, the 30-year fixed rate is the actual. You'll see that they have been sliding downward, and now that they're going to kind of hum along in that same path. At least that's what the experts are saying. I got nothing to do with that. So what should we do right now? What should you do right now? And I think that for a lot of people, this is a hard question, because a lot of you are being asked to wait it out, and it's more of the same. But what should we do? We should get our homes ready if you're ready to sell. We can do some CMA analysis for you and make sure that you're on the same page as we are with where the market is. I think we still have a lot of good news for you. So I think pause is still the right approach. And home ownership is certainly an important source of wealth creation, and a lot of people were looking for that drop, etc. I think that this is more of a home buyer's market where people are trying to get that wealth creation with a place to live versus flipping and buying and getting deals. I don't think the deals are going to be there. I think there'll be some foreclosures that come along. I just don't think there's going to be a ton of them that come along. So do with that what you will, but that's what it's looking like right now. That could change, could absolutely change, but currently this is what we're looking at. That's all I have for you today. I know it was a long one, right? But try and get some sunshine. Vitamin D, I guess, is supposedly helping to fight the virus, as well as vitamin C, etc. So get your vitamins and get your immune system boosted, and stay safe, stay well. Hope everybody's doing well. Take your mental health breaks, go out, get a walk, do your thing. So hopefully I'll see you soon.